shall send his angels with a great sound of the trumpet. Mark, and then shall he send his angels. No mention of the sound of a trumpet. Luke, and when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and draw up your heads, for your redemption draws near. No sign of the trumpet, no sending of angels. So, look up and lift up your heads, for redemption draws near. That's not in Mark. That's not in Matthew either. It's just Luke 21. So when these things begin to come to pass, look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draws near. I think that should come before the mention of the sending of the angels, because what happens next in Matthew is they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. That is the catching away, the rapture, if you will, as some believe. So I should have before that, Luke first, when these things begin to come to pass, look up, for redemption draws near. Then after your redemption is drawing near, the real redemption, the catching away. So Luke first, and when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draws near. Now I should put Matthew and Mark. Matthew, and he shall send his angels. Mark, and then shall he send his angels. You know, I'm tired of these ands. I'm just going to go right into then. Redemption draws near, then shall he send his angels, or then he shall. So I'm going to have the and at the beginning be all three. Then is only Mark, both, just the order of Matthew. He shall send his angels. Mark continues, and shall gather. Matthew, with a great sound of the trumpet. And they shall gather. Okay, so these words are only Matthew. The sound of the trumpet. With a great sound of a trumpet. And they shall gather. Mark. And shall gather. I think I need to have the they, because if I don't, it would be referring to trumpet, or with sound of the trumpet. But they is reminding you it's the angels earlier. And from both, they from Matthew shall gather together. That's both. His elect from the four winds. Mark has from the uttermost part of the earth. Matthew, from one end of heaven to the other. From the uttermost part of earth to the uttermost part of heaven, or from one end of heaven to the other, meaning only heaven. You know, if it's talking about only heaven, I think that'd be referring to where the angels are coming from. He shall send his angels. Now, more information, but kind of a side issue, with a great sound of the trumpet. And they shall gather together his elect from the four winds. Now back to the main issue, his angels, from the one end of heaven to the other, as if from all of heaven, angels are coming down to gather people. From one end of heaven to the other might refer to angels, but Mark seems to be talking about where the people are coming from, being raptured, if you will. Then shall he send his angels. Now still continuing on the same point, not side issue. And shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from the uttermost part of earth, meaning the gathering is from one end of the earth to the uttermost part of heaven. Maybe that means they're being gathered from earth and brought to heaven. So is it talking about the angels coming down, or is it talking about the people going up? I don't know if I could have both. I don't think I should have both. From the uttermost part of earth to the uttermost part of heaven. You know, I think it's kind of a stretch to say he's talking about the angels, then as a side note, gathering together his elect, then back to the angels from one end of heaven to the other. I think that is kind of a stretch. Although I don't know how else it could be referring to. If you're talking about gathering people from one end of heaven to the other, the people don't start from heaven. They end in heaven. So I'm going to go with the style of Mark. The angels gather the elect from the four winds, from one part of earth to heaven. From is still both. From. Matthew has one end of heaven. Mark has the uttermost part of earth. But again, I'm not going with one part of heaven to the other. So I'm just going to leave off one. But I think I can have the uttermost end of the earth. There's only one end in Matthew, so I wouldn't be able to use it later. The uttermost end of earth to the uttermost part of heaven. It seems like it is saying that people are going to be gathered from every part of the earth to heaven, but I don't know why then it explains the uttermost part of heaven. Maybe this is not referring to the people being gathered. I don't know what else it could mean though. It doesn't make sense to say the angels are coming from the uttermost part of earth to heaven. That doesn't make sense. And how are you gathering together the elect from the four winds? I think it's just meaning from all over earth. Yeah, that makes the most sense. People are gathered from all over the earth. Okay, I do want to use end instead of just part. There is an end to the earth. I don't know if there's an end to heaven, so it wouldn't make sense to also have an end in heaven. The uttermost part of heaven might work, but not the end of heaven, so I'll use end for earth. From the uttermost is from Mark, and instead of part I'll use end from Matthew. Of is both, the earth is only Mark. To the uttermost, to the is both, uttermost is Mark only. Part of is only Mark. Matthew ends in other, but I didn't use the word heaven. So I'm going to say that is both. Heaven.